Stephen Hunt is with us. Good morning to you, Stephen. How are you?
Morning, guys. How are you doing?
On the scale of the former Republic of Ireland internationals who are like, just kick the ball long, versus the hang on a second now, let's give the manager a chance. Where are you? Where's the Stephen Hunt pendulum swinging at the moment?
Listen, I think before the night's game, I would say for Stephen Kenny's point of view, he needed a win. So whatever it takes to get the win on the night, I'd say it was important. I am right in the middle of it. I think we can play good football and we can keep our old mentality of being stubborn and hard to beat. If we can find that right mix, I'll be a very happy guy. But I was very pleased with the team's performance the other day. I thought it was very good. And to answer your question, Ger, I'm right in the middle of it.
Are you seeing signs of progress, or enough signs of progress at this stage?
Yes. I've always said, Ger, 4 years is the turnaround for this team to change its style of play and to start winning games. Like any coach, if you were going into pre-season and you were in a club side and you had 6 games in pre-season to express your style, it'd be very hard. So it was always going to take quite a few games to get it right. He has been very unlucky, I have to say, with COVID and COVID pullouts over the period of time, and to for the style of play we try to play. I can see good patterns, I can see good movement, and I think the other night was a justified performance first and foremost, and result obviously good enough. More than likely, fingers crossed for Stephen, it keeps him in a job.
Well, you talked a bit about the shape of the team and what you're seeing, because particularly midfield at the moment. So Nathan was on last night saying that he thinks that the midfield are being exposed a little bit by the reluctance of the defenders in particular to push up, and so that's leaving the big space. It ends up being the midfielders who are caught on the turn and who look like they're not doing what they're supposed to do, but actually that's as much a function of the defenders not pushing up and squeezing that space as it is the defence or the midfielders being overrun.
Yeah, well, our first goal the other night come from John Egan stepping in on the halfway line and winning it there. Now, the other night we looked a little bit vulnerable for the first time on the counter-attack in midfield areas. Normally Josh Connolly does a very good job at that, and he normally sits tight and keeps his shape. I think once you have the back three, with that formation, the back three and the 2 midfielders are key. But Jeff Hendricks was very good at coming out of his space and winning the ball back up. I think the intensity the other night was bang on. The desire to win the ball back high up the pitch was clear to see, because it leaves you a little bit weak in certain situations. But I thought the centre halves dealt with it very well. O'Madeli and John Egan especially coming out of their slots and winning the ball back. So I thought we looked a little bit vulnerable. We'll be keen to address that and take it from there.
The function of playing wing backs on both sides, it kind of necessitates that the attackers drop in, play a little bit more narrow. From your perspective as a winger, Stephen, does that sometimes lessen your impact or lessen what you can do as an attacker? And I'm talking about the players playing either side of Ida.
Yeah, I think the 2 boys playing from either side of Ida did very well the other day in terms of coming into pockets of space. If they had come out off their slots and come into little pockets, and James McClean and Matt Doherty were wide. If Matt Doherty and James McClean had come into little spaces, which I thought they'd done very well the other night, the 2 other guys would go wide. So I generally thought there was a good mix in terms of movement, in terms of shape from wide areas and inside. The 2 centre forwards, as in the 2 wingers coming inside, literally they are nearly centre forwards now, done a very good job. And I'm not too sure why Dal Horgan was taken off, whether it was an injury or tactical. I thought he was good as well, and very unlucky if he was taken off on the basis of playing wise. So I was really impressed with them, and as I said, they were a little bit vulnerable on the counter attack, but I think they'll be keen to address that now and make sure they have hold. I think against better opposition they'll go, maybe Jeff Hendricks will drop out and a more defensive minded player might come into the team and play 2 holding, because if we played against better opposition on the counter attack we would have got done the other night for sure.
Darrell Horgan's come in for a bit of flack in the aftermath of Saturday, so could you explain what you saw in his performance that was positive?
Yeah, Darrell Horgan is an explosive player. I've seen him play loads of times. I think the best word for Darrell Horgan is he's effective. He gets crosses in when he can. I didn't think he deserved to be taken off. I thought he did well. Maybe we were obviously 2 goals up or whatever we were at the time, and we wanted to tighten the ship a little bit with Jamie McGrath, but I actually thought he had a good game in terms of his movement, in terms of link-up play, and I know the manager likes him, and he's done it before. Stephen, he's made substitutions at half-time, he's not afraid to, and take it from there. Stephen would be a better one to tell you why he did it in terms of a tactical point of view, but I thought he did okay in the game, and he come inside, did good link-up, and I'm sure going forward, I actually thought James McClean was excellent in both sides of his defending, from a full-back and from an attacking point of view, he was good as well.
In the away game against Portugal, it might have been about players' availability, but we did actually play with Hendrick. He did start, and I'm pretty sure it was Jamie McGrath. It was Jamie McGrath and Hendrick. Yeah. What does McGrath give you that's a bit different from what Darrell Horgan gives you?
Yeah, I think he plays central midfield for his club in Scotland, in St Mirren, and he gets goals from there, and he gets in the box. From Ireland's point of view, he plays off wide one and he comes inside quite a bit, so he gives you that option in field to gain possession and keep control of possession. I think he's a very good technical footballer. I think he's actually better from the left than he is from the right. He was going to play in a wide area. I've seen him play a couple of times with Dundalk. He can play more fluently from the left than he does on the right, but he's definitely a technical player. He's playing in a physical league up there. He'll probably prosper from coming to a better footballing team. Having said that, Jim Goodwin and St Mirren have done a very good job. My old Waterford friend has done a very good job of managing the team up there and plays good football. So in a physical league. So listen, Jamie McGrath for sure is a technical player and will improve Ireland with the ball 100%.
We were talking about number 10s on the show. Is there room for Alan Brown to play a kind of advanced 8 in this side, or has the team gone a slightly different direction over the last 6 months since Brown has kind of been unavailable at various stages across the way?
I think you can really play with the back 3 and the 2 in midfield will always be, I suppose, straight on the map. They're down, they're playing this way. But then you can allow yourself against weaker teams to play with 1 in midfield if you want, with 2 in front and then 2 wide players as wide as you can. So a 4-2-3-1 necessarily, and then that's where Brown comes into play, because he does look to get a goal from midfield. He's very good in the air and can be an absolute box-to-box player and cover more ground. So he's a good option to have. Stephen has good options going forward from now on, and he hopefully gets over this patch of question marks and the FAI come out in certain times and say, right, listen, they're part of the next 2 years, give them the Euros and see where we go. So listen, I was always saying 4 years is a minimum. When Wales did their transition into a playing side football team, they took a while to get the balance right and take it from there. So
you think, just for the avoidance of doubt, Stephen Kenny should be given the Euros?
Yes, I think the performance, and from the start of it, I'm not saying the results have been good enough, but I think from the start of his regime, I always said 4 years was going to take, and I expected the young boys to take him to bed in, start getting results. I think you can see a clear pattern of play, and one thing I would give Stephen credit for, he's stuck to his guns. He's not gone and said, right, okay, I need the result, I'm going to boot it long. He's going to die his way by playing football, and the other night they got a result. I have to say, Azerbaijan played a game that was quite expansive for a lower ranked team. That helped us. I think a lower ranked team normally parks the bus and tries to break us down, or try to break them down, and we had lots of room tonight to play. If you get to be even against Qatar tonight, how will they play? Will they close up shop and see how we break them down from there? So there'll be different challenges ahead for Stephen and how to break down lower block teams, and that'll be the key for us, I think.
You mentioned James McClean there earlier, Stephen, and his performances recently for the Republic of Ireland have been really, really good. And I think we kind of need to remember that he's still only 32, that it's not a sort of final sting in his career at all. This is just another peak in his career from an Irish perspective anyway. So what are you seeing from somebody who would have played in a relatively similar position, at least in the international setup, from what he's doing under Stephen Kenny?
Quite a lot, actually. I think the new formation helps James. I think he's able to come onto the ball more. He's able to see things earlier from his position he's in, and that gives him an allowance to bomb forward and then obviously get back as well. I think his energy levels the other night were very good. I think his positional sense, He was in the right area defensively. He made decisions to come inside and block the ball off from going outside him. His decision making was excellent the other night, and his energy levels will always be good for Ireland. He set us off right from the first minute, but he slows them down. And listen, if I was playing now and I was looking at James, I'd be saying I'd be delighted to play in that position. The final third is a little bit different because you got to be a bit more explosive. He's still fit enough, of course, but that explosiveness you lose as you get older. But for James now to have this chance to play in that role, he's grabbed it with both hands. And I'd imagine maybe Enda Stevens, like for like, will probably play tonight. But I think James, if it was a competitive game, would keep his place.
And what makes that position so fascinating then is when Seamus Coleman comes back, you can throw Matt Doherty into that debate for that one position as well. Is there a way in which you can get two of that three on the pitch at the same time at all? Assuming Coleman is your right wing back.
Listen, Seamus Coleman is the ultimate pro and leads by example. I think you got to put Matt and Seamus in the same position. If Matt can play centre half, he can. O'Madelli, I think the biggest compliment I can give him is that you've hardly noticed him in the games. He's made some good blocks at times, and then also he just got on with his job. And for a young pro, he's been very mature in his way, and it'll be hard to take them out of the team. The way they played the back three, I thought they were excellent the other night. Yes, against lower opposition, but you've still got to do your job and play well.
In Caoimhín Kelleher's press conference yesterday, he was asked about the opportunity he had as a Liverpool player to go out on loan to the Dutch League and how Liverpool wanted to keep him as a result of a few events at the club. We've spoken a lot on the show about Josh Cullen and the experience that he's getting in the Belgian League. From your own experience as an agent, Stephen, how live a possibility is this now becoming for a lot of these Irish players, the fact that the Premier League and the Championship is no longer the be-all and end-all, and that the continent is a real opportunity for players to develop?
Yeah, listen, I think the football world of Ireland and England is beginning to realise that there's soccer, football abroad, just as big fans, bigger fans maybe in some cases, and it's good to go abroad and play. Everybody will always be attracted to Premier League because of the full stadiums. That'll always be the number one destination over time, but certainly in young players' careers to go abroad now and play is not as late. Most countries, once they speak English, and they're able to, it all depends on the character of the lads going away as well. If they like company, then sometimes it can be difficult if you don't speak the language you're there. So I think Irish players can go abroad. To answer Kelleher's question, I think for him to go and compete with Gavin, he'll have to play over time. Unfortunately for both of them, they've got really good keepers in Man City and Liverpool. It'll be difficult, but I can see them definitely playing first team football for both clubs over time, but only time will tell how good they get.
There was an injury doubt over Horgan, and there is a concern over Josh Cullen as well. So give us your preferred team for tonight. We know Caoimhín Kelleher is going to start in goals, and we know that there won't be wholesale changes, but if there's injury doubts about anybody, it is a friendly, and while a result is important and it's a sellout essentially in terms of the amount that they're allowed to have tonight, it's 25,000 for a Qatar game. It's good going. So who do you want to see play?
I think Stephen would be keen not to have a dull game. I'm honest with you, I think it's a very important game for the team. I think he'll do like-for-like changes in terms of personnel. I think he'll keep the same formation, the same kind of attack-minded format. I think so. Enda Stevens will come in maybe for James, who doesn't need to play. I think he's done enough. You don't need to see him. I think Matt Doherty will probably remain right wing back. The front three, I think Adam will play again. Maybe Troy will play off one of them. Listen, I'm trying to think who else can play in the front three. But
stick Aaron Connolly in and try and get him some game time and remind everybody at Brighton what they're missing out on.
I think Connolly's had game time. I think he's got to be patient now and wait for his opportunity. Listen, he might play tonight. I think when he does play next, I think Aaron Connolly's got to bring an intensity to the whole situation. I think he does. I think he was very unlucky against Portugal. He had a lot of just if moments. If he could actually get the ball in the net or actually had a pass away, he'd have been not far from a very good performance because his positioning was really good. And I think tonight, Qatar will probably sit back deeper and will be up to us to break us down. The one thing I would say is that when teams come out and attack us, we look very good. When teams sit back, we'll have to find a way of breaking them down, and Stephen will then have to say, okay, can we move the ball quicker? it's almost like a bigger team playing at home in the Premier League when a Burnley goes and sits in. Can you break them down over time? You stick to the way you're playing, and they'll get deeper and deeper and you'll score. So I think it's a big game for Stephen tonight. I think the intensity of the Irish fans will want us to do well. Credit to the Irish fans that actually went abroad the other day, and the 200 so that were there. I think it was nice for them to be there and witness a good win.
Yeah, no, fair play.
Could I just ask you, Stephen, what would your advice be to Aaron Connolly in terms of his club future?
Listen, I don't know the lad, so it's very difficult to say. But one thing I would say is that he's in with a very good manager. He's on the fringes of the first team. Get your head down, play. He won't be allowed to go out on loan, I'd imagine, this season. I think he'll be in around the squad. Get in there, get your place. Concentrate on football, I would say, for any young player I would speak to is keep your focus. And listen, the one thing I would say is when Galway get a superstar, they sing from the rooftops about him. They haven't done that on this occasion on Aaron. So Aaron needs to get himself focused on football, play well, and then let everything else come to him.
All right, Stephen, good stuff. Thanks a million for joining us today. Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Stephen Hunt giving us his thoughts there on the Republic of Ireland against Qatar tonight and the performance at the weekend. That game is live this evening. It is Nathan Murphy and Stewie Byrne on commentary duty for you. You'll hear that from 7 o'clock on Off the Ball on News Talk